and the possible existence of an organized criminal syndicate operating within the state's security architecture. Left unaddressed, such allegations threaten to erode public confidence in the institutions that are meant to protect the South African people and uphold the rule of law. The ANC views the President's response as both necessary and responsible. His establishment of a Judicial Commission of Inquiry is an act of leadership that demonstrates an unwavering commitment to constitutional democracy, accountability, and the principle that no individual, regardless of their position, is above the law. It affirms that the fight against crime and corruption will not be waged through expedient populism or grandstanding, but through lawful, transparent, and institutional processes grounded in our democratic order. The decision to place Minister of Police, Comrade Senzo Mchunu, on a leave of absence is equally commendable. It is a proactive and considered measure taken in the interest of ensuring that due process is not compromised. Importantly, this decision does not imply guilt or prejudgment. It is a step that preserves the integrity of both the executive and the investigation itself. The President has acted in full accordance with his constitutional authority as provided in Section 91, subsection 2 of the Constitution, to appoint and relieve members of the Cabinet. The ANC reaffirms and respects this constitutional prerogative. As the ANC, we welcome the President's consistent approach of allowing institutions to function independently, guided by law and not by political expediency. His actions continue to reflect a clear commitment to the restoration and strengthening of the state. This commission is not an isolated intervention. It is part of a broader program of institutional renewal, which has included the rebuilding of the National Prosecuting Authority, the formation of specialized anti-corruption units, and the strengthening of protection for whistleblowers. We also congratulate and express our full confidence in the appointment of Professor Firoz Kachalia as Minister of Police. A seasoned legal scholar, respected public servant, and staunch anti-corruption advocate. Professor Kachalia brings a wealth of experience and credibility to this crucial portfolio. His deep understanding of the security sector and his proven commitment to clean governance position him to provide the leadership required at this moment. We wish him strength and resolve as he assumes his responsibility during a critical period. The African National Congress views setting of commissions of inquiry, while not a substitute for law enforcement, are essential instruments in the pursuit of justice, truth, and reform, especially where systemic failure, conflict of interest, or possible political interference has paralyzed existing institutions. The Zondo Commission into state capture, despite its significant cost, has yielded substantial returns. Over 14 billion in assets are frozen, 5.4 billion recovered, and more than 60 individuals and entities facing criminal prosecution. The Nugent Commission triggered a renewal at SARS and exposed private sector complicity in undermining state capacity. These commissions have not only exposed wrongdoing but have informed meaningful legislative and structural reforms. It must be understood that in a constitutional democracy, justice is not a spectacle. The separation of powers doctrine places limits on the executive's direct intervention in investigations or prosecutions. The demand for instant arrests, politically driven prosecutions, or trial by the media undermines the very foundations of the rule of law. South Africa's hard-won democracy does not permit leaders to act as judge, jury, and executioner. Instead, the president has correctly entrusted independent institutions to do their work and has created an enabling environment for them to succeed. We caution against the public consumption of a singular narrative that reduces complex institutional matters to simplistic tropes. As Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie reminds us, I quote, "This problem with stereotypes is not that they are untrue, but they are incomplete. They make one story become the only story," close quote. This is precisely the danger we must avoid, a reductive public discourse that ignores context, dismisses due process, and undermines faith in democratic institutions. In this regard, we call on the public, commentators, and all political parties to exercise restraint and respect the constitutional process now underway. The Commission must be allowed to conduct its work thoroughly, independently, and without fear or favor. Commissions serve this very function. They provide an independent and credible basis for legal, disciplinary, and institutional action. Calls for immediate arrests or prosecutions without this process reflect a disregard for constitutionalism and due process, and would ironically mirror the very abuses of power we seek to correct. The ANC further urges all members of law enforcement and intelligence services to act with the highest levels of professionalism, patriotism, and respect for the Constitution. Now more than ever, the nation needs a law enforcement sector that is apolitical, accountable, and rooted in ethical leadership. We also call on all South Africans who may possess relevant information to come forward, cooperate with the Commission, and support efforts to cleanse our institutions of criminal capture and misconduct. This is not a moment for complacency, nor is it a time for political theater. It is time for principled leadership, for renewal in action, and for a reaffirmation of the values that underpin the liberation movement's commitment to building a capable, developmental, and ethical state. President Cyril Ramaphosa has, even under intense political pressure, stayed the course of constitutionalism. He has not resorted to populist shortcuts or destructive patches. Instead, he has chosen the harder but ultimately more sustainable path of rebuilding public institutions, brick by brick, law by law, reform by reform. His approach is not driven by the need for applause, but by the imperative of transformation and accountability within the bounds of legality. The African National Congress stands resolute in defense of constitutional governance. We reaffirm our support for the Commission of Inquiry, for the President's leadership, and for all lawful and transparent processes aimed at restoring the integrity of the state. In the end, the strength of our democracy will be judged not by the absence of crisis, but by how we respond to it. In a society faced with criminality, a demand for instant justice is understandable, but it must not come at the expense of legal credibility. South Africa's constitution demands that even the fight against corruption be conducted within the bounds of legality, transparency, and fairness. The work of commissions of inquiry show a maturing democracy, one that prioritizes substance over spectacle, and long-term reform over short-term applause. We wish to bring the following to your attention: that the National Executive Committee of the ANC, the National Working Committee yesterday, resolved that it should be postponed to a later stage to do thorough political work on a whole range of issues: the state of the government of national unity, to do political work on our situation within the alliance of mending relations and dealing with matters of reconfiguration that affect our relations with one of our alliance partners, which have taken a decision to go to the next election on its own. And that requires deep reflection and decision by the National Executive Committee. And that process on its own requires thoroughgoing engagement with alliance partners, which we have done till thus far. And we're remaining now with the Communist Party, and ultimately to convene an alliance political committee. And we hope to conclude that process before the meeting of the National Executive Committee, so as to be able to chart a way forward. Again, the NEC must deal with the state of the economy in terms of the interventions that we need to make in the economic trajectory we're actually following, and what needs to be done with regard to addressing unemployment in our country. The National Executive Committee will also adopt the framework towards the National General Council of the African National Congress. Lastly, I wish to bring to your attention, and I think that question may arise as well in the press conference, that there's been disinformation doing rounds in social media up to using artificial intelligence about Integrity Commission, alleging all sorts of things, including that Integrity Commission have taken certain decisions with regard to the matter we are dealing with as it affects Comrade Senzo. And I wish to bring to your attention that there has not been any interaction between Comrade Senzo and the Integrity Commission. However, such an interaction will happen as it is required by the ANC Integrity Commission and the guidelines and the terms of reference of the Integrity Commission. So there has not been any decision arrived at on this matter up until comrades appear before the Integrity Commission, and as and when they appear, the Integrity Commission will deal with the matters, and at the same time, once it has concluded on those issues, the Integrity Commission will present its outcome to to the National Executive Committee, which will deliberate on those matters and thereafter make the conclusions of the NEC on such matters public and communicate to the affected comrades. So I wish to bring it to your attention and everybody that anyone who's peddling disinformation in this regard, it needs to be corrected and clarified that there has not been such happenings in our surrounding with regard to the Integrity Commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, SG. There you have it, colleagues. There you have it, colleagues. I will now turn to yourselves for a reflection, and I will take questions. Shall I start this side? Sunday Times. I'm having a reflection. I'm trying to see. Yes, Sunday Times.
All right. Thank you very much and good afternoon. My name is Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi from the Sunday Times. Firstly, the MWC that sat yesterday resolved to postpone the NEC meeting. This is now the fourth time that the NEC has been postponed, which is the highest decision-making body in between its conferences. It's the fourth time that it's now being postponed, dating far back as the budget impasse with the DA. What is causing the delays? What's going on? Secondly, the DA has just revealed that President Cyril Ramaphosa's special envoy to the US, Jonas, has had his diplomatic visa declined by the Americans as early as May this year, which means that he's not recognized as the country's intended envoy by the White House. We want to find out what effect will this development have on the bilateral relations between the two countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sunday Times. I don't see anyone this side. I'm going to move to go back to my brother at the back, and then I'll come back to Itzo. Do I have a hand there? Okay, and then yes, hello, and then.
I just want to know.
Sorry, from
please
Just want to know when is the NEC postponed, and with Tulu, will he now be deployed again back to because he's an MP? Will he now go back to Parliament as a normal MP?
Thank you, KFF.
Thank you so much. SG, some of the money pages. SG, Mr. Mtulu hasn't met with the committee. Has he ever met with the top 7 of the ANC? Or has he ever met with any committee of the ANC? Maybe, give him already over his statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I'm Howard Omawoleo from UFM. SG, you would have noticed that the public is raising questions about the legality of the president's intervention in this matter, replacing Minister Mkhulu on special leave. I want to check if the ANC shares this understanding that we now have.
Where are you from?
I'm from UFM and respectfully.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, that we now have two.
You normally don't introduce yourself properly. That is why. So I need to be clear.
My apology for that.
Sorry.
And I also have to apologize because I've got a number of questions by the host of them.
No, don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can always have a second bite.
Yeah.
Let's have the initial ones.
What does the ANC think of the fact that for the first time in this democracy we have now 2 ministers? Because Minister Mkhulu being on special leave means he's still a minister. Unless you have other knowledge that we don't have, that perhaps he's going to lose some of the perks, what be the salary or the security detail. And also there's a technicality that the designated as acting minister would have to be somehow formally drafted into the executive. He can't just be made an acting minister when he is not already in cabinet. Does the ANC have an appreciation or a full understanding of how that is going to be done and how whether it is lawful? And Also, your reaction to the fact that there were articles, I don't want to name media houses, but there were articles in the lead up to the president's announcement that suggested that the Minister Mkhunu had actually suggested, or should I say requested, that he be placed on leave, and then as the announcement came,